split, OMG, we've already seen.
Yeah, no, we've gotten a good estimate. I was going to say, we've seen the tendencies of better teams at the start of the split to just work into their groove. Maybe an advantage here for LNG as we go into this third game. You got the Mordekaiser taken away. You look towards standard bans, bar the Thresh away from Chris.
I want to see, does FPX go towards the Aphelios because game 1 that was banned?
Okay.
Or do they just say, no, let's once again go towards that Ezreal?
Because it's been Aphelios first pick, or you go for the Syndra, right? Syndra is not available, rather.
But instead saying, hey, this was the champion. We actually just saw Khan even point at his screen and like, hey, this right?
You want this? Okay. Now, I will just say, part of Dark Technologies is running top laners mid. Doinb, this could also potentially be a flex.
I will say, though, I was checking out a solo queue, and it's not something he's really played, so could be in there, right? Some teams do try to keep certain picks secret, whether it's in scrims or on a second ID, but I would expect this to go up towards the top lane, and Shenlun, or LNG rather, locking in the Aphelios just makes sense.
Yeah, you give away that, and if you want to first pick the Wukong, what do you do here? Do you do the FPX approach of Trundle?
I always say just pick jungle, right?
Yep.
80 carry jungle is the safest first rotation red side there is. The Trundle worked last time, so you could pick that, and you once again have the start of a very good team fighting composition.
I mean, the Jarvan worked last time for XX, right? So here it is.
Yep. So just wanting to build... God, I wonder if this foreshadows another just Galio. I wonder if on 3 they just say, hey, screw it, let's just take this champion.
Why not?
Yeah, so... Which Doinb does play some champions that could go into it and even just choose to farm up things like the Rise of the Victor.
And in the past, FPX have been opting into like first rotation into the Galio, right?
Or the Kled, actually.
Oh, yeah.
That's another thing that does fine into it. So as FPX, you have a lot of options. You could take it here yourself, but I'd say it'd be a bit too early. Maybe just answer which jungle. They've already shown theirs, so you could go towards that Trundle yourself or pick up a more aggressive option. Maybe keep Tian on something like Lee Sin.
Yep. If you're looking at the Nautilus here, though, progressing with the draft, remember, that is a flex, but recently it has been all Chris playing it. Doinb hasn't picked Nautilus mid in quite a while, so expect that to be pairing with LWX for now.
Just going to sit in the bot lane. Scaling does offer some threat against an immobile 80 carry like Aphelios.
All right, you ready for the Galio?
No, I expect them to lock in support. I was going to say they're probably going to go with the Leona again, but if they go with the Taric, it would be very interesting for the fact that you do have a lot of all-in on the side of FPX, but...
You know this game. You know the game, Lyric.
Let's be honest,
you should be a coach.
A lot of people right now in Twitch chat predicted this Leona.
Did they?
Of course.
Okay. So we have a 5-head chat today. That's great. All right, Rumble's going to be banned away. We're starting to target Doinb. As we expected, again, that Nautilus. Keep your eyes towards the bottom side. But what do you ban if you're FPX?
You're probably going to ban out... I'd say just ban out the Galio, actually. Just ban out mid laners. I expect LNG to pick top on 4 and then look for counter pick mid on 5. I mean, you have no reason not to pick mid on 4 for the fact that they've already shown Wukong, but maybe they're cognizant and scared of what you said, the Dark Technologies, right, of them flexing some kind of shenanigans into the mid lane.
Always been the strength of the draft for FPX 2019, and especially towards 2020 spring as well. Are you going to get rid of the Yuumi here? Because... why not? You're thinking, maybe it's going mid.
Instead, they're just wanting to ban out things that can play into the Wukong. So, banning out the Ornn. The other 2 options, they could ban out either the Renekton or the Hecarim. Depends. Couldn't find Shenlun's account. Not sure if he's really playing that champion, but those are the 2 other big-name counters. You also do have the Mordekaiser, which we've seen banned.
Which he actually really favors. Already banned.
Oh, actually, yeah, you're right. Mordekaiser was already banned.
But we got 3 top lane bans now from the side of FPX, with the Renekton rounding it out. It's time to see that top laner, Lyric.
Yeah, you could go with the Hecarim. You can go for something like an Aatrox, and sure, it's going to be a bit of a rough lane, but you know Aatrox can play against anything. AP champion's always great against Wukong, so this could be a bit of a flex.
We'll see. We've only seen it up the top side with Comet. FPX, stop it.
There's nothing to say.
The problem is, a team like FPX, you always half expect something new.
The problem is, there's no point in predicting what they're going to pick in the mid lane, because you could do that, right? They're hovering the Graves. You could go Graves, put Nautilus in the mid lane, and you have such a strong 2v2 with the Nautilus setting up for the Graves, but I just don't believe that FPX are going to bring Nautilus back mid, but this is the same thing, right? You have CC set up in the mid lane for your Graves jungle. You have the engage coming in from Khan for Doinb to follow up, And then this is great because we talked about in the first game how Light would be left by himself on the Aphelios. This game with LWX on the Ezreal, doesn't matter if you're left by yourself because you have that safety from your E.
Survivability. Keep an eye on the swaps here as well, because FPX, just remember, we have seen in the LPL where the Galio has been played support, and the Nautilus, as of course we talked about, is still there. Let's hover over the mid lane there, because it is a double AP solo lane for LNG.
We talked about how Chen Lun is kind of known for these AP champions mains. Vladimir loves things like the Mordekaiser, the AP cannon, so Sylas fitting right into that same wheelhouse. But now you should expect a lot of heavy trading around topside. Sylas is always the type of laner who really wants to look for fights, kind of functions as an AP Irelia of sorts where, you know, you want to get in there, use your passive, use your combo, and really find your advantage through fighting.
I know you've been really high on the skirmishing in the past as well. 20 seconds has been hit, and Doinb is going to be playing Galio mid just to reconfirm. And I want to touch on this because the composition set up by FPX, well, very Doinb-centric as we've liked to see in the past from FPX. He will be running Predator or Unsealed Spellbook Galio. I'm just going to put it out there. This dude has made Galio is pretty much champion of 2020.
I'd say Teacher Ma's kind of made more of a name. More of a name.
You're right.
Yeah, right. I'm not saying that he's a better Galio, but the fact that Teacher Ma just it kind of needs to gravitate towards that, to where for Doinb it's a choice. Seems like that's the big difference.
Okay. He's made it one of his as well. I don't know how to
I'd probably say Doinb's still the better Galio. But we do see the confidence on his face right now, the look of a stone cold killer.
Stone Cold Killer is playing his first series in 2020 summer. Laid out the draft for you, the all-in potential of FPX. We'll talk more about drafts as we get in because a lot of skirmishing available for LNG as well. Lyric, it's a game 3 I didn't expect to have tonight between LNG and FPX. A game 2 win by LNG has thrown expectations in the air. We're now going to find out who brings their A game to round out the series.
Still, though, looking at what FPX has picked up is pretty scary because, like you said, this is a bread and butter FPX composition. It's all about Doinb pushing and moving, supporting Tian in the jungle. They have that Graves, which is such a strong pick in this meta. And you have LWX on the Ezreal, champion he's always liked. So we see just a very strong front-to-back 5v5 team fight coming out from the side of FPX.
Okay, well, front to back. That's a good sign for FPX. Notice the Unsealed Spellbook. On the Galio, we're not getting the phase rush that we saw out of Maple in game number 2. He's also got an Unsealed Spellbook on the Zoe, which has become a little bit more common yet again.
It's always been the type of rune you would take in matchups that were either a bit harder that you couldn't bully out. Always been a bit of preference, though, but you still see in solo queue a lot of Zoes take things like the Airy into a Galio matchup, but Maple instead favoring the utility that this is going to bring him throughout the game.
You ready for an invade? We're going to have an early level 1, aren't we? LNG, the vision has not been obtained. It's the invade to start 3 versus 3.
I actually really like what FPX are doing as well because their level 1's really good. Nautilus, great. Ezreal, good as well. Aphelios, of course, not really a champion at level 1. Same with Jarvan.
Who gets level 2 here, though? That's what's going to turn the tides. Blue buff at 600, but hasn't been hit. LNG have played this really well. They let it reset, and they bullied them out.
Yeah, just great. Light just abusing the range he has from that Calibrum. FPX not finding any kind of hook coming out from Crisp to get on top of LNG.
Trading across the board. This is my kind of LPL. Can't just wax him with a stick.
Yeah, and like Sylas has a very strong level 1 because if you're able to hit that E, but at the same time, Wukong, one of the best level 1 champions in the game. Of course, his passive only offers him armor, doesn't actually give him any MR, so that's one of the reasons why this Sylas was picked up into the Wukong matchup.
Very, very true. Hey, I want to point out to you that XX is actually going all the way to the top side. Even though blue reset and there's a ward on it, Tian actually got to his camp first, being the closer one in the red buff, and that means XX is starting pretty late here on his own.
Top lane going to be all about trading like you just saw. This is what Sylas is known for, really wants to look for this battle, and still more of a scaling champion, but...
Hey, we're fighting down the bottom lane as well, yeah.
Fighting.
Across the board. All right, well, good trade there from LWX and Crisp, and they also have the minion wave building up.
Of course, Doinb having Nimbus Cloak in his secondary, so...
The mini Predator.
Exactly, always a great rune to have, and pairs great with Unsealed Spellbook, where you're going to be using tons of summoner spells.
Kind of a shame, because I love his Predator Galio. Just the way he's used it in the past. I think Teachamara as well. You're right.
When Teachamara was using it, it made sense because they actually didn't have any like reliable engage, right? They weren't running it with a Jarvan or a Wukong or a Nautilus. He was actually the main engaged. Where here you do have the Nautilus and the Wukong, so
not needed. You
don't need to run him first.
Spotting out Tian yet again here. He is about a camp ahead. Notice now going into the enemy Raptors. So far, Tian has been very active, picking up more CS.
I want to see if he goes for a gank top after this because we do see that the wave is on Khan's side, and he's still relatively healthy as well.
And even though he's been spotted out, Chenlun doesn't seem to be pulling back any more so than he is right now.
Well, instead prioritizing his farm, which he's a Graves, right? So it is more about getting these items and playing through these skirmishes.
See where he is. Chenlun on a bit of a spotting mission. He's actually going to find him out. Tian now 1v1ing him, but Chenlun right now misses the abduct. That could have been a potential kill or at least a flash burnt by Tian.
This is one of the things with a lot of Sylas matchups and...
Good dodge.
Yeah, Doinb playing that well.
We are fighting across lanes multiple times. Support versus jungle again. It's just like Maestro all over. There's XX going to get out with the flag and track.
Yeah, great job by both teams recognizing, hey, they trade-sided. Oh, wait, Tian's on our Krugs. That means XX should be on our Krugs, you know? So let's go check it out. They push him away, and now we're back to normal.
Yeah. Normal here is as normal is with a bit more skirmishing. Massive wave built up by Light and Duan. That's going to secure a back / a bit of control towards this bottom side, but they do choose to back in the end.
On the side of FPX, they do feel fine just kind of sitting and waiting out any sort of objective fights when you do have... Like, we're looking at the comps, right? And we see Jarvan Zoe on one side and Graves Galio on the other. FPX definitely more item reliant.
I'm going to have to pause you again, Lyric. Khan's in so much trouble. Chain Lash comes through, but outside of the invisibility, the flag and drag should be an easy secure, but he's waiting for the flash to burn at Khan. The damage comes through. XX randomly flashes as Khan. That was a bit of a whoopsie to give first blood over to XX.
It looked close when he got away with that sliver of HP. It looked like he might have been able to get away, and that play was being set up all the way back when we talked about Tian going topside from the fact that Chenlun had pushed the wave in.
But I tell you one thing. Now it begins. XX set up here in the early game. The Jarvan showing proactivity, and Chenlun's going to be feeling pretty happy getting close to 6 as well.
The Jarvan a lot more reliant on getting these early game ganks off. Is going to just become a CC bot in the later stages. Tian, of course, feels fine, just getting some items. He could look for an opportunity mid lane trying to get on top of Maple if Doinb can find some kind of nice taunt, but with the threat of XX always counter ganking, you got to be wary. And
I will say, while Tian has just been focused on farming, that would have been great if XX didn't just pick up the kill. Now that CS discrepancy doesn't mean as much.
True, and I'm actually fine with the way FPX has been playing this game. They don't need to force any options.
Okay. Because do you want to use the S word one more time for the last time in this series?
No.
Oh.
Hey, you have Aphelios and Sylas on the other side.
Not
so
again. Oh, yeah, that's very obvious.
Never that cut and dry.
Okay.
In these Aphelios games, at least.
Yeah. Tian has been spotted out by this. I don't believe he has. But there's a control ward down here. Now, it's a bit of a game of cat and mouse. There's Duan and Light. There is Gravitum available. It's a good little shield of Duran comes through. Or rather, shield of Daybreak, I should say. Chris has to flash away. Light goes on top of him as well. And here comes Galio, but it's a little bit too late. Chris is dead. Duan at half health. It's a 1-for-1 trade, but the teleport was cancelled up by Khan. I think they should have let him come in to die. Is Doinb going to go for the re-engage of Winds of War? The damage is there. It's just like Galio from game number 2, but Doinb can't secure the kill. And LNG will be happy walking away.
Still, FPX should be happy as well, especially if this had de-escalated a bit quicker to where you think about it. Chris died on one side.
Silly. Okay.
Oh, God.
He's got another flash.
Light died on... Like, look, LWX has all of his summoner spells up to where all of Light's are down. Light is the one who's the immobile AD carry.
And I will say, LWX got to stay in lane and pick up the rest of that wave, too.
Exactly. That was the point, right? Had that de-escalated quicker, LWX could have just kept farming, push it in, taking his time, but all the shenanigans, still got the experience, still got the CS, but FPX definitely coming out slightly ahead in that exchange.
Okay. Well, Doinb got to walk back to mid as well, clears out the wave. Doesn't have TP, but we'll look at this again because this turned from a 2v2 to a 3v3.
LWX going in aggressively because Tian is here, and we see Leona going in, and Light flashing forward for the kill. We do like that aggressive play coming out from him, but with Tian already here, was a bit unnecessary.
Yep.
I was going to say nothing happens after that, so.
It was actually Khan who cancelled the TP of Chenlun as well, just as a side note. He was ready to come down, but Khan interrupting that means, okay.
And XX going to get the Rift Herald for free.
Yeah.
FPX not even going to get anything on the bot side for the fact that LNG's bot lane didn't overcommit. Light is going to make it back. Probably going to miss a few minions, but not too many.
You talked about a trade, though. I think Tian actually will stick around. He cancelled his back. Is now heading towards the Dragon Pit. That cheeky control ward needs to be taken out, but Maple here to put up a bit of a fight.
That's great. Just Maple just posturing, saying, hey, you need to feel threatened. You need to commit someone like Crisp here, which is now going to let LNG's bot lane get their wave under more control.
That control ward, though, is paying dividends, isn't it? Just keeping an eye on that Dragon the whole time for LNG. Well, Mountain still not looked at. FPX get the push down in the bottom lane. And look at where Doinb is. He's almost got his ulti up. He's pretty keen on roaming around yet again. And just pushing out towards the river. A lot of control held towards that top side as a side note as well. Both Khan and Doinb have secured control wards towards the river, up towards that tri-brush as well. Whereas the wave is pushing towards Khan. So no shenanigans to be had by LNG at this point in the game.
Makes sense since that is where your target for your Galio ultimate is with Wukong in the top side. Yep. But now Maple's going to get the push on mid. He's going to hover bot. It's going to allow them to just drop this Rift Herald and get all these plates for free. If FPX overextend, LNG can actually look for a dive. Oh no, instead they're going to take Dragon.
Okay. Yeah. The safer of the two options. What do we roll? Infernal. A Cloud or an Ocean Soul? Tell you what, if I am LNG, I am praying for that Ocean Soul this game.
I mean, if you get the Ocean Soul, especially with that Sylas scaling up into a big late game threat, that healing is going to be ridiculous. Good that we already got the Executioners calling out from Khan in the laning phase.
Going to deal with the Severum here on the Aphelios as well. Just note that while we are looking towards the Dragon in the next 4 minutes 30, we'll see a Herald at around that time as well. But more importantly, see what happens when we get towards the first items, because Khan almost there. Doinb at the lost chapter, excuse me, had a bit of a brain fart, while Maple heading towards there as well. Manamune picked up a little bit early after LWX got a kill in the previous fight.
Yeah, LWX feeling like he's in a good spot. We talked about how FPX aren't the ones who necessarily need to feel like making any proactive options. But still, LNG in a good place. They have first Dragon. They have a gold lead.
No. Do you know what we're seeing in the bottom left, Lyric?
What is it?
Turret plating was not acquired by Light. He was not in range, unfortunately, as Tian has found himself Duan, and Chris walks past the turret, forcing the LNG bottom lane off while Doinb was ready to roam down as well. The threat from the Galio that you talked about. Shield Duran's going to come on in as that is a trouble bubble that needs to be avoided. Doinb flashes away. LNG moving their bottom lane as well. Duan comes in with the Soul's Flare. The Justice Punch skips past him, but Crisp is by himself until Doinb makes the re-engage, but it only hits one. FPX have walked into an unfavorable situation, but down goes the AD carry first and continue forward for LNG. XX picks up Tian, and Crisp and LWX have to leave now. Maple flashes and hits the goalpost as Chris wants to sacrifice his life and try and kill Duan in the process, but LWX, the Arcane shift away from the flag and drag, still chasing up the troll bubble there, cleansed away from a messy, sloppy fight, but LNG win it out.
2 games in a row, LNG are out-skirmishing FPX, right? That's what it's coming down to, and it actually started off a bit messy where I don't know why Duan flashed and looked to ult on Doinb when he could have just, you know, used that ult on the Nautilus and Ezreal that were right in front of him, but still it worked out with then Doinb ulting. We gonna see anything?
No, we're spinning. Hang on.
We are.
Khan's turn next. There we go. All right, now that's over. Until Doinb comes in. Doesn't have flash though. He used his summoners in the previous engagement. He doesn't have an
also
unsealed
see Crisp here already.
Very true.
This is what Chris was really good at last year as well, was Crisp, in my opinion, was the best support at moving around the map, getting there first and looking for these plays consistently.
Yep. I mean, he was very good at that at Worlds, especially during the group stage, towards quarters and semis.
Right. Even though we didn't think of FPX as a team that played towards topside.
Duan's actually walked into the blind spot here. Shield Duran's going to come through, but Aftershock's keeping him tanky. Tian's going to be joining the play, but there's no collateral damage, and XX is coming in shortly. I think it's just disengage time for both teams.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I expect both teams to go back to normal lane setups any minute now, and it does look like LNG's bot lane is already heading towards the bottom side of the map.
On your point of Crisp, it's kind of interesting because at least in the LPL environment, when we talk about setting up other lanes, Lumao from JDG, especially in 2019, was really, really good at that, especially setting up mid for Yagao and just making early roams alongside his jungler at the time, which was flawless. But you're right, Crisp has kind of evolved into that dynamic of playing around the rest of FPX.
You know another team that had great supports roaming and playing around other lanes?
Duan.
RNG, Carson Xiaohu.
About to say. That's very true.
Great supports. But going on in this game, I expect LNG
to not get caught out. That's Duan. He absorbs damage again while, okay, Chris bit too far forward. True Shot Barrage hits another goalpost as Aphelios sends some shurikens. XX into the backline. Cataclysm's there. He's a bit too far forward as another stopwatch has been used. Teleport there from Doinb to get on out rather than the hero's entrance as Khan's in the middle too. FPX are kind of inting this one. They've lost two. A third about to come through as Chenlin steals away the hero's entrance and they have no health bars. Crisp against the turret. Tian gets trouble bubbled while the rest of LNG jump on. Doinb takes down Duan with the shield of Duran and almost coming through. Light survives. A hilarious fight. One that FPX just threw in the rubbish bin.
And look where these fights are happening right in that tri-brush. Maple had the perfect position, just got to keep throwing out those paddle stars and sleepy trouble bubbles over the wall without even having to commit to the fight. Before that fight started, I was going to say I expect LNG to continuously look mid-jungle to bot, while FPX do the opposite and go towards their top lane, but
your turn.
I don't think there's any reason for FPX to even be here. We see they're the ones trying to engage on the Duan. Doinb comes in, overextends a bit. LWXX zones out the rest of the team. Sorry, this is so confusing. Khan goes into all the members while LWX and Crisp just have to run away from being so low. Maple keeps going in aggressively. The health bars are just so low at this point it doesn't even matter. And we're gonna, actually we're not gonna see. Let's say we actually see Doinb go for a taunt on the other side, which just ends to Light getting a free kill onto him as well.
Well, I do not envy your position, sir.
I don't either.
LNG have a 3K goal lead at 15 minutes in the game, and I have to say, FPX, what was that? But for LNG, let's give them credit where credit is due. They did play that well. Maple hitting some key moments as well as Light at the end of that fight. 2 kills on the Aphelios here, 1 on the Zoe as a bounty. XX is now 4-0-4.
No. You're missing the most important thing is that we are not getting an Ocean Soul.
No, we're getting a Cloud Rift.
But we're also getting Rift Herald on top side. But if you're LNG, you don't care. You're pushing the inner turret and bot and no one's answering.
And there's not much damage between Khan and Doinb. Turret will go down here with the Herald. Its ability to get another charge is there. Chenlin playing this very safe while bottom turret is going to go down. Better trade for LNG yet again.
And I would expect that Chenlin and Duan can protect from this.
He has a collateral damage. Maybe not, yeah. Duan does have the Solar Flare. Underneath turret, bit of damage, but turret will go down, so I take back the trade. It is a 2-for-2 in the end.
Still, LNG are up in gold, and Maple been playing really well this game and has just really been a benefactor of where these fights have been happening.
There's been a switch turned on after the second game. Like, we got into that second game expecting FPX to 2-0, and LNG just came out of the gate rolling. Once again, reacted really well to FPX towards that bottom side.
Right. I love that you used the word reacted, because let's remember, FPX were the ones trying to set up a dive bot. We're a bit over-aggressive.
Now, there's the Solar Flare. Forward he goes. There's the Ignite down, and Maple's going to get the kill. Now, Duan trades his life, but at this point, giving Maple more kills is still a threat.
It just called FPX over-aggressive, and then Duan goes. And
but he's got 2 deaths. Crisp has 4. So, who looks worse? Really?
Still, overall, going back, FPX was on trying to force a dive on bot, and LNG capitalizing.
Oh, but flash over the wall. Shield of Duran's here. They've actually found Maple, who will use the stopwatch in the nick of time. The ultimate to follow through, but Doinb doesn't hit anyone, while LNG are kiting back, but not quick enough. Light has some good range here with the Moonlight Vigil as XX manages to get out, but only just until Tian walks forward, end of the line, doesn't connect, while Light underneath the turret will die to Khan. FPX do find a little bit more this time around.
Yeah, overall, especially Khan's follow-up was absolutely beautiful. Maple did flash away, but Khan following up did keep him there, and overall, FPX finding what they need and keeping the game a bit closer.
A little bit closer, down to 3,000 gold at this point at 18 minutes. Tian chasing that one up and helping Khan now become the most fed member of FPX. Remember, there's a Trinity Force Wukong. And it started with Doinb over the wall.
It just flashed in. A lot of the members of LNG actually flash away, like you said. Good stopwatch coming out from Maple, but then being stuck in the Cataclysm, so a bit unfortunate, and they keep going. Tian tries to find the kill here, isn't able to, but great play from Khan to secure it on the Aphelios.
3, 2, and 1, sitting with that Executioner's calling he picked up earlier in the game in that Triforce, just as a reminder. Maple sending down Trouble Bubbles, looking for his target. He is, in fact, still 20 CS up over Doinb and has now that Oblivion Orb sitting with the Blasting Wand.
I do like FPX's comp the later we go, just because they have such an easy time of getting on LNG's carries, right? Wukong should have no trouble, as well as with Doinb's follow-up.
But is that enough to trump over the Sylas, Zoe, and Aphelios?
Right, so that's what I was going to say. LNG do have the tools to come out ahead, because we already see that they are more fed. They do have the dragons, so is the damage still going to be there from FPX? That's the question.
I guess the new question for you is execution. Right? Because if you talk about Wukong and Galio, the ability to layer on top with someone like a Nautilus, and then watch Tian and LWX go to town.
Well, that's why I'm saying I like FPX's comp more.
Yeah.
Like if this goes really late, the game evens out. FPX's comp just looks a bit easier to play.
And also the damage coming through now that LWX has the Mirror Mana, the Trinity Force on this Ezreal too.
But at the same time, Shen Lun is also getting massive, is going to be kind of a threat on that back line. And if Maple lands any poke, any fight is now in LNG's favor.
This is the second series where Chenlun has actually performed quite well. I mean, Game 2, we didn't talk much about him because the rest of LNG were just so damn fed. This time around, Chenlun has the chance to silence FPX and the haters in the same game, as Duan is getting targeted once again. LWX throwing out a Mystic Shot or two. That's because we're grouping towards the next dragon to set up the cloud.
Let's also remember, though, that Light does not have flash. He is an immobile 80 carry, so that's something really important to keep our eye on. LWX.
Oh, but Chris, a bit too far forward. Instead, he doesn't care. He's going onto Light all in, but he's stuck in the middle before Doinb can get the hero's entrance. But instead, Khan shuts us up right into the backline, but Chenlun is doing his dirty work once again. The full health Sylas is damn fed, as you said, Lyric, and now Doinb has to deal with him. On top, the Kingslayer needed to heal him up, and he gets it. A triple kill for the new top laner of LNG.
And Shen Lun doing so much work in that fight. At the start, we saw what we were talking about of how easy FPX's comp is with Khan having such a good time of getting onto the backline, but it's so dependent on LWX surviving and dealing this damage for them to come out ahead. He goes down early. Chenlun plays great. We see all the healing coming out from his W. Now LNG are on soul points.
They are on soul point. They're on a 4K gold lead, and they don't want to die on this hill. Colonel says down, down. FPX are going down.
5-0 3 Sylas, 4-0 8 on the Jarvan. Let's see how this starts. We do see Duan's actually the one to engage. Chris tries to get on Aphelios, does flash forward. LWX missing the ult. I want to keep my eye on LWX. He's still in there, gets jumped on by the Jarvan, and then Shen Lun just comes from the back and completely explodes him. And that to me is like the key part of that fight. Maple still alive as well, was able to kite out great. They're just able to finish it off.
Maple hit a trouble bubble on Doinb. He stops outputting damage. Chenlun survives in a way.
To me, the massive part was actually LWX E'd in aggressively. XX saw that, said, hey, I'm going to use my ultimate on this Ezreal. And then Chenlun coming in from the back was left vulnerable. And he's one of the key parts of this comp. Not one of the, he's the key part. Exactly. He's the key part of this composition.
Getting out skirmish, or rather this time out team fought on the side of FPX. Not often you say that. LNG putting on a bit of a display here. This game, 22 minutes in, on the verge of a Cloud Soul here for LNG in 3.5 minutes. Baron sitting up there waiting. Notice the items that were picked up after the fight as well, as we got solid kill territory. Khan is going to get ulted by Doinb. A double knock-up onto Chenlun as he gets exhausted away. Everyone chasing as the Shield of Duran does connect, and he goes down. FPX with a massive pick for this game, while XX somehow got lower. Flash Shield of Duran. Doinb locks onto target as Tian chases up at Maple. Down goes to Galio as Duan will follow up yet again. The Solar Flare on top of Chris. XX still damn low as LWX wants to turn this around, but Light still alive. Down bottom, we look towards Maple, challenging 2 players. He comes in with the paddle star, almost takes down Tian. Maple survives, has a flash, wants to be cheeky with it. That one was a little bit cut and dry, or closer than it should have been.
FPX do start off by getting the pick, but look at everything they had to commit to getting it. We saw so many flashes used, both Wombo combo ultimates coming out from Doinb and Khan, so then when it came to the rest of LNG approaching, you actually have no way of continuing the fight, and Maple and Light especially playing it so well. So Chenlun starts it off, steals Khan's ultimate, goes in, Doinb has to react to save, and we now see the 2 key teamfighting ultimates used, and sure, here you find the pick, but now you're stuck in this situation where you can't continue following up. Great Trouble Bubble coming out from Maple, and actually Doinb engages when, like I just pointed out, they have nothing left to continue. Great job by Maple flashing away. And then LNG just have an easy time of like kiting back and trying to find more kills. Of course, it does end a 1-for-1.
Still managing to hold their gold lead though. We're back in live and we jump back pretty scaredly because LNG are forcing this again. Steal away from the blue buff. Bit of a yoink. 2 minutes till that Cloud Soul. Baron up. LNG have control of top and this outer turret's about to drop down.
If you're an LPL fan, though, this series has delivered in the fact that it's been skirmish after skirmish after skirmish. It's been all about these team fights.
It's kind of funny because game 1 was very much poke out and never get it.
Poke and pick. No team fight to be seen.
And then game 2 and 3 has been all team fight galore. Seems like we're on the cusp of another one starting. Look at the pings coming down. Chenlun is making his way in and Doinb has to crash tackle him at this point. Absconded duck, but Chenlun is caught out by himself. The hero's entrance lands on top of him, and that's a mistake by the LNG top laner. Chris absorbs the damage from XX while the rest of the team comes on in. But remember, Light and Maple are still alive as ultimate collateral damage. The Ignite doesn't kill him, but Ezreal does. 2 big picks against LNG. FPX have priority.
That was so confusing because we see Chenlun get caught off on one side while the rest of the LNG members are like enormed with Chris. It's like Chris was like taunting them. They're like, we need to kill this man. And we saw because of that, LNG not able to get the kind of fight they want, but FPX definitely don't have the sort of comp that can just threaten Baron here, especially against the Zoe, which can just continuously harass over the wall. Also, Maple even taking the smite to like kind of be like, hey, you need to worry about me. I can portal jump over and just steal it.
I mean, he's level 14. He's higher level than Tian.
So Chenlun was looking for a flank. Doinb engages, but look at the rest of LNG. We actually see Duan and XX trying to engage onto Chris, which made no sense.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much how that fight wraps up.
Imagine if they were on top of Doinb and the rest of the team.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's some good shot calling.
That's some aesthetics, man. Here we go. We're bringing it back. It's a game 3 that has 28 kills in 26 minutes. Yeah, this is how the LPL is meant to run.
This is soul points.
And this is another fight in the making. Teleport coming in. Doinb, I love how you just gave me the breath of fresh air here, Lyric. 4K here in front of the pit. But someone needs to get in. Tian over the wall, uses the Yomus. Still not there. It's secured by Maple. As now it's a Cloud Soul on top of LNG. And they've already lost LWX on the side of FPX. XX now getting bursted out, but look how split up they are. Light still survives, and they threw everything in the kitchen sink, but FPX just got wiped.
I just want to know what happened. Did LWX E into the pit? It's set up so easily for Chenlun. Chenlun just absolutely blew him up, and after that, there's no hope for FPX to come out on top, and Maple doing such a great job of securing that dragon, not with a smite, but with his paddle star.
And it might have just secured the game here as well. Baron uncontested. LNG out of left field. Let's not give up.
It's funny because that fight didn't happen out of nowhere, but it just exploded out of nowhere, especially with LWX going down.
Baron in your pocket. 8K gold lead. FPX looking at a similar start to Spring.
So LWX does E over the wall, and then we see XX jump on Tian and Chenlun right there, having such an easy time of getting on top of him, and now Doinb left right in the middle of all the carries of LNG. I'm just absolutely surprised that XX didn't go down. I guess Stone Plate was just enough.
If only just. They threw everything at Light as well. He survived too. And Chenlun with his second triple here. So a big show up for the LNG top laner on the verge of their first win of the LPL 2020 summer.
I feel like the big mistake was FPX feeling pressure to steal the Drake rather than just posture for a better engage angle.
Okay.
I mean, again, we saw all of them jump over the pit, and it just gave LNG, oh, you all just used all of your abilities to get right in front of us? Okay.
And also the rest was separated, right? So it was uncharacteristic fight from FPX, but showing some cracks through the armor yet again as this is going to be their final defense with the Baron buff. LNG are posturing towards the bottom side, grouping up as 4 with Maple throwing trouble bubbles left, right, and center.
But Hysterics, look at where Doinb is. They're in no place to stop LNG's push.
And the push is becoming fast. Light now moves up to the turret. This is gone. There's no way FPX defend it.
They're just going to keep going. FPX right now need to go for, like Dagda said yesterday, a Hail Mary type play. Just put all your cards on the table and hope something sticks.
At this point, Khan finding his way into the backline and Doinb following.
Exactly.
That's what it feels like.
That's what it is. And Light, once again, does not have his flash, so if you can get on him, there's some hope. But Maple's been playing these team fights so well. Even if you take down Light, you have Chen Lun and Maple to deal with.
He's seeking Maple onto the mid lane right now. Inhibitor goes down.
Chenlin does have the Nautilus ultimate now as well, so you got to be careful if you are either Tian or LWX if you do go a bit too far forward. Whew.
This is that death's door for FPX. Didn't think would be here. Baron's got 45 seconds, but it's done its job. Double inhibitor here for LNG.
Let's also take time to point out and appreciate the fact that this team did make a significant change in the offseason and the fact that they brought in Stake and on Steak's quite well. And let's hope that Stake, with all of experience as a former player, can continue to bring this team to new heights.
Also, let's not forget he's a Worlds coach, 2019. He partnered through RNG and took them there.
He's a Worlds player.
Also very true.
Played at many Worlds.
I mean, that's a bit of a trophy to be at Worlds as a coach and a player.
Exactly. So he's a guy with many accolades. Doesn't quite have the afro anymore, but
a shame. As Trouble Bubble goes wide, but not for the turret. Khan.
Oh.
This is the game-ending play if he can get it, but LNG could turn this around. In comes Khan, blind. He knocks up to Light as the Hero's Entrance finds Mark as well. Doinb's into the middle, but I don't think they have the damage at this point. LNG have sent in the Jarvan while Light starts hitting away into the backline. Maple's doing the same, and they're too far behind. The Hail Mary was not found as Doinb gets ignited. He's trying to TP out, but Light won't let him. Forward they go, and the upset to start the split off here for the LPL is LNG taking down the 2019 World Champions.
And all 3 carries of LNG showing up so well. Chen Lun, with almost no experience,